Hello there, welcome back. Stories to Live By with Miss Wagner, inspired by my students to do this. Recently, I talked about Viktor Frankl and his time in the concentration camp. And what I have for today's story is another story about World War II, but it's completely different from the Viktor Frankl story. And I heard this story a few years ago at Self-Realization Fellowship in Pacific Palisades, California. And it's a great story about the human condition and what people can, how people survive when they're put in very difficult circumstances. And this story actually is about a German paratrooper. And this German soldier really wanted to be a paratrooper, and he was given a mission. And on his first mission, he was shot down behind enemy lines. And he was taken as a prisoner of war by the British. And he was held in captivity in Egypt. And it wasn't long after that where another German soldier, another paratrooper, had been shot down, and he too ended up as a prisoner of war. And these two German soldiers, they didn't know each other, but they became friends with each other as prisoners of war. And one of the things that the British did is every day they would give their prisoners 3 British cigarettes. And one day, one of the soldiers said to the other soldier, he said, he goes, when we get out of here, we're not going to have anything. No matter who wins this war, we've got nothing. So the other soldier said, well, what are you getting at? So he said, well, he goes, the only thing we have to our names are these cigarettes. So the guy says, well, what do you mean? So he goes, instead of smoking them, why don't we save them? So then the other guy goes, save them? So he goes, well, yeah, because we save them. When the war is over, maybe we could trade them, maybe we could sell them, at least we had something. So what they did was instead of smoking their cigarettes, they saved them. And every once in a while there would come that time where one of them would say, gosh, I really feel like having a cigarette. And the other one would say, no, don't do it, because cigarettes, they're addictive. You start with one, then you're going to smoke all of them. And then the other one would say, geez, I think you're right, maybe I will have that one cigarette. There's no such thing as having that one cigarette because they're addictive. So neither one of them caved, and every day they saved up their 3 cigarettes. By the end of the war, they each had 2 suitcases filled with cigarettes. And they took those suitcases back to Germany. Now we know that by the end of the war, Germany was wiped out. They had nothing. But these 2 guys had 2 cases of British cigarettes. They were like gold. And they were able to buy the supplies to build 2 houses with their British cigarettes. And what they did was they built 2 houses side by side, and they later got married, not to each other, they later got married, and they had children, and then one of those children came to the United States and told me that story. Now that story is a story about making small sacrifices for something big further down the line. And it's very, very similar. You actually get 2 stories with this one. It's very, very similar to what Philip Zimbardo did years ago with the marshmallow test. And what he did was he got a group of children together, and he would talk to each one, and he would tell them, ask them questions about their name and what they like to do, what games they like to play. And then what he would do is he would say, oh, here's a marshmallow. I have to go out to my car, and I have to get something in my car. If you can wait, don't eat this marshmallow. If you can wait, when I come back, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. And it was interesting because some kids could wait, and some kids, he wasn't out the door when they were sticking that marshmallow in their mouth. And Philip Zimbardo tracked those kids. And interestingly enough, he found out that those kids who were able to delay gratification were far more successful in life. So anyway, you got 2 stories today, and the lesson to be learned is, let's just hold back. You don't need it right away. Let's just tell ourselves no, and look what will happen further on down the line. So those are 2 stories for the day, and I'll see you again next time with another great story to live by. Ms. Wagner signing out.